So sometimes though I feel I'm in my boat, on the stream, and I want an easy button to be there because sometimes both ways feel a little upstream.
Well, don't make too much of it and take whichever path is the least upstream. Or let go and float for a little while. If there are two choices and neither one of them feel that good, neither one of them is that good. But you can't all of a sudden just cease to exist. You can't just stop thinking all of a sudden. You can't stop your momentum like that. So don't beat up on yourself because you can't. Just let it go, and when you sleep, it will subside. And when you awaken, it will be better. And then the next morning, it will be better. And the next morning, it will be better, as long as you understand this. It really is about staying in your lane. It really is about wanting to feel good and know what thoughts take you off and paying attention to what happens. There is nothing wrong with running over a few things while you're learning to drive. It's just sort of something that has to happen. So as you are acknowledging that, oh, that thought led to that, then next time you come across that thought because of past momentum, you might have more control about it because you're more decisive about it now. But let your decisions be about how you feel, not about the nitty-gritty of what you're deciding.
So is that about gaining better focus?
It's really about diffusing negative focus. If you diffuse negative focus, in time it won't be part of the mix. So at the same time that you're diffusing negative focus, you can be focusing more positively. It's just a matter of caring about how you feel and guiding yourself accordingly. We've been talking about several things in this gathering, things that we want you to feel sort of new about in some ways. And the first thing that we wanted to bring emphasis to is that receptive mode and replenishing mode are the same mode, and that everything you want comes from that. So of course we've tied it into the decisions that you've made because it's personal. In other words, it's not being a puppet that someone else is deciding for you. These are things that you have specifically asked for that mean something to you. And so getting into that receptive mode is just the most wonderful way to live life, to know when you're there and know when you're not there. And not be mad at yourself when you're not there, but most of all, know when you're there. And just knowing that makes you more likely to want to do that, which is what that Step 5 living is all about, isn't it? It's about not beating up on yourself when you find yourself in a receptive mode of something less than what you want. And so then what happens once you're striving or wanting or enjoying more of the receptive mode, what happens is you begin to experience more of a feeling of worthiness because you begin noticing the correlation between what you've been thinking and how you've been feeling and how it's playing out. And you even feel worthy when it plays out in a way that you don't want. There's something so wonderful about knowing that you're in charge of what comes. I did that, you say, or I did that too, you say. In other words, there's something wonderful about being the deliberate creator of your own experience. So that feeling of receptivity and then that feeling of worthiness that comes as a result of it are such important components of where you stand in your vibrational now. And then the now factor is such a big factor because in your now, you have more latitude than you've been giving yourself credit. It sounded to you like we were encouraging our friend who was talking about decisions away from so much decision making. But we're talking about the decisions like facts. We're not talking about the decisions like emotions. Let your decision-making process be mostly about the way you want to feel by understanding that you've already filled your vortex full of the decisions that are important to you. And then just watch how lovely life plays out. And then you'll find yourself more and more of the time being in this state of being where things are unfolding around you and you are witnessing the evidence of your alignment. That's the best part of deliberate creation, to witness the evidence of your alignment. Or, let's have a Step 5 moment, witness the evidence of your misalignment. But witnessing the evidence of it, isn't that a lovely thing?
It's frustrating. I mean, I've witnessed things that I've created that I'm not really happy with after they've...
Then you're not having a Step 5 moment.
Right.
You're having a Step 1 moment, in other words. And so by staying in your lane, which is one of the things that we've really been talking about, when you find yourself saying it's frustrating, you're off on the rumble strip, aren't you? It's frustrating. Don't go there. Don't even put words to it being frustrating if you can stop yourself. If you're not too far in the frustration to stop yourself from even saying it, to say, wait a minute, I can back off of that. I don't have to proclaim it. I don't have to continue to argue for my limitations, because that for sure is going to continue the momentum and take you off. Everyone has a propensity to do that a little bit, because you're sort of fact-based people. You've been trained to face reality. And we say, facers of reality do not change the reality that they're facing. If you face reality, you keep active the vibration that keeps bringing the same results. Different places, different faces, but it's basically the same experience that you continue to regurgitate. And it does not have to be that way. You are not facers of reality, or you are creators of reality. You are creators of your reality, you see. And so notice the correlation between the words that are coming out of your mouth, the conversations you're having with your friends. And notice how often you could have got back in your lane. You could have. But for reasons, screwy reasons, like momentum, or you don't want to hurt your friend's feeling by changing the conversation, or mostly momentum, mostly your own momentum, or mostly your own justification or rationalization. But none of those things feel good. And so, do you know that every single thing that you want, no matter what it is, a material object, a state of being, a pile of money, a person, anything that you want, everything that you want it because you think you will feel better when you get it. And everything that we've been talking about is we want you to feel better before you get it, or else you can't get it. You got to feel good about the essence of it. You've got to feel good about the idea of it. You've got to feel good that you were in the receiving mode and even received the question of it or the problem of it. You got to feel good about all of it. It's time for you to start being proud of where you stand in this world. You're doing really well. Do you know, as a deliberate creator in this sea of contrast, in this planet, you are masters of creation. It's why you're here. None of you are little new souls that are coming forth floundering like some of them want to tell you you are just because things aren't going well. That's not the case ever with any of you. You are masters at creation, and you've come into the most complex, most perfect diversity that has ever been in any dimension, any time, anywhere. Here you are, sifting and sorting for your personal conclusions about how you believe the world and your world within this world would be better. And your worthiness is such that everything that you conclude is understood and backed up by source completely. And the energy that creates worlds is focused on your behalf. It's time for you to line up with the focus that's already focused on your behalf. And if you do anything less than that, you'll feel frustration or worse.